Check out our new sponsors, The Games Cube. It's a great family-run local game store boasting Australia's biggest selection of MTG singles. Use the coupon code The Eternal Gathering to get 5% off store-wide. Check their site out in the link below. G'day everyone, welcome to the Eternal Gathering here, the Gatherer with another deck tech with Modern today, and we're going to go and look at Counters Company deck. So if you're not very familiar with the Modern format, this is quite a popular deck in there. This is basically an infinite combo which can win on turn 3 at the earliest, and can do that quite consistently actually. So what we're going to go through is how the deck works, what cards obviously in the deck, and as usual we're just going to talk about a bit of the matchups as well. So we'll start with our creatures, and I'm going to go just straight to the creatures that matter for the combo. So we got Devoted Druid here, which is 1 and a green for a 0/2 elf druid that taps to add 1 green mana, but it also has the ability to put a -1/-1 counter on it and then to untap it. So that's very relevant because we have a card here called Vizier of Remedies, which costs 1 and a white, and it's a 2/1 human cleric. And if one or more -1/-1 counters would be put on a creature you control, that many -1/-1 counters -1 are put on it instead. So that's a lot of -1 kind of terminology there. But basically what it means is that when you do want to untap your Devoted Druid and you have a Vizier of Remedies out, you don't put a -1/-1 counter on the Devoted Druid because it gets removed because of the Vizier Remedies, which allows for infinite mana. So what are you going to do with that infinite mana? Well, there's a few ways that you can win. So with that infinite mana, you can use a Duskwatch Recruiter, either have this on the hand or on the battlefield, and then you can use its ability of 2 and a green to look at the top 3 cards of your library and reveal a creature card among them and put it into your hand, and then put the rest in the bottom of your library. So you would want to do this infinite amount of times if you want, but basically to look for one of 2 cards. One of them being Walking Ballista, which you can pump as much mana into it and then make it come into the battlefield with let's say 100 +1/+1 counters on it, and then you can remove one of those counters to do 1 damage to any target, so you can do 1 damage to the opponent's life total over and over and over again until they're obviously dead. Or you can look for a card called Rhonas the Indomitable, which is a god creature, but it gives another creature +2/+0 and trample until end of turn, and that's 2 and a green. So you would pump all your mana into that, giving one of your creatures +1,000 +0 and trample until end of turn, and then attack in with that. How do you do that on turn 2? So what you do is turn 1, obviously you play a land. If you have a Giver of Runes, that's a really good start, the best start you can have. Play the Giver of Runes to be able to protect your Devoted Druid the next turn. Turn 2, you play your Devoted Druid. And then turn 3, you play your Vizier of Remedies, and then have something in your hand to win the game. You can also utilize a couple of spells. We've got Chord of Calling, which lets you basically look for any card that's a creature with mana cost X or less, and if you've got infinite mana, you can search for your Rhonas the Indomitable and put that in and to win the game there. Or you can play a Aeschylai Voice of Plenty, put that into the battlefield as well, and then you can pump all your creatures, putting a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. That's not going to win you the game straight away, but it's going to give all your creatures +1/+1 counters, and they're all going to get hexproof as well, and then you can attack in with them the next turn if you're unable to get Rhonas the Indomitable for whatever reason it might be. Also, you've got Final Devastation, which just lets you give all your creatures +X and haste if X is 10 or more, and also search for a creature and put it into the battlefield from either the graveyard or your library. You can also try and play Collected Company to try and get into something that might win you the game. Also, there's a few other cards in here that can go infinite with this -1/-1 kind of theme, where we got like Murderous Redcap. So if you play this, it does 2 damage to any target because it's damage equal to its power, but when it dies, it comes back and play with -1/-1 counter on it. But if you have a Vizier of Remedies on the battlefield, it just comes back into play without the -1/-1 and does another 2 damage. So if we have a sack outlet, which we do in Carrion Feeder. We can do that infinite amount of times. So if we have a Carrion Feeder, we can sacrifice any creature to put a possible counter on the Carrion Feeder, and then we can sack the Murderous Redcap an infinite amount of times to do infinite damage. Or we can use a Kitchen Finks, which has to gain 2 life when it enters the battlefield, and we can do that with a Carrion Feeder and a Vizier Remedies out, and then therefore gaining as much life as we want, and then also having the Carrion Feeder be a like 1,000 creature that you can attack with. So that's the main way you're going to win with this deck. There's a few other cards in here that can help as well. So of course, Giver of Runes is going to protect your combo pieces. Spellscut is another way to help protect your combo pieces. I like Spellscut in this because if you're versing like a burn heavy deck, especially in game 1, it's good to have this as a way to stop those burn spells hitting you or your creatures by paying a 2 life to redirect to Spellscut, because most burn spells are not going to be able to kill Spellscut with just a 1 burn spell. I have to at least use 2 on the Spellscut. So I like him in those matchups. There's also some relevance with other matchups, like for example, if you're versing Infect and they're trying to pump their creature and you have this out, you can just redirect the spell back to Spellscut so they can't kill you on their turn 2 or 3. So Spellscut is a nice addition and nice kind of different type of protection that you can have for this deck, apart from Giver of Runes. Then you've got your Anafenza, a one-off. It combos off well with the Persist creatures, the Kitchen Finks and the Murderous Redcap, by putting a +1/+1 counter on a non-token creature when it enters the battlefield that has the lowest toughness, which will always in this case be a Murderous Redcap or the Kitchen Finks, because they're coming with 1 toughness. So that goes infinite with the Carrion Feeder as well. And then also you've got Melira, which also does the same thing. Master Horse counters can't be placed on things, so it won't be able to use this with the Devoted Druid to go infinite mana, but you'll be able to use the Melira to with the Carrion Feeder and a Kitchen Finks or a Murderous Redcap to go infinite. So Melira and Anafenza are there just as another way of getting a combo going, and also if you're playing in, especially in game 2 and 3, and they're trying to get rid of your Vizier Remedies through, let's say, they're using Surgical Extraction or something like that to get rid of them, exile them from the game, you've got still ways to go infinite. You've still got another 2 other creatures there to hit. Then we go to Selfless Spirit, a way to also protect all your creatures from massive board wipes. It can just sack itself to get all your creatures indestructible. Then we go to Eternal Witness, another way to get cards back from your graveyard. So let's say you play Collector Company and you hit an Eternal Witness after Collector Company, you can get that Collector Company back into your hand, so you can Company off again. Sometimes it's good to also get into it if you don't have your, I guess, game-winning card in your hand, and you Coco off your infinite mana on turn 3, and you hit Eternal Witness and something else that's not really relevant, at least you get another hit with your Collector Company and do it again and try and get something else. You're trying to get that Giver of Runes, not Giver of Runes, Carrion Feeder and a Kitchen Fix, for example, to go in an infinite life kind of route. And then, as I said, Shalaya Voice Planning, it's a way to give you guys hexproof, but also another way to give all your creatures +1/+1 counters. Spells wise, Final Devastation, Court of Calling, Collector Company, they're all there just to find your combos. You can Court of Calling for a Vizier of Remedies on turn 3 as well. So you can, if you have all your land drops, you can Court of Calling for the Vizier, and then you have your infinite mana, and then if you got your win con in your hand, you just play your win con. 2 power for Exiles, just for the removal. It's always good to have some type of removal in the main. Lands wise, pretty simple. 4 forests, 1 Governing of Township, because again you can put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. If you don't have an Anafenza or a Vizier Remedies or a Melira on the battlefield, then you can still use the Gavony Township to put that plus counter on your Kitchen Finks and Merce Redcap when they're being sacked. Just a bit of extra value. You can also use it as a win con, just adding counters on each of your creatures and attacking in for the really long games. Godless Shrine, one of 2 Horizon Canopies, let you draw some more cards if needed. Overgrown Tombs, Plains, 4 Temple Gardens, 3 Verdant Catacombs, and Heath. Pretty standard kind of land base there. Don't forget you've got your Devoted Druid also giving you mana. Sideboard, the options that I've gone for, 1 Pithing Needle. I think Pithing Needle is a really good card just in most modern decks. Pithing Needle allows you to stop any Planeswalkers that might be prevalent in the matchup that you're versing. For example, if you're versing like a deck with Liliana of the Veil, definitely a good card. You don't want to be discarding cards from your hand, so it's a good definitely pick for that. Other things as well that might be able to destroy your creatures, or if you're thinking about like Tron, you can do it on their Khans, or you can even do it on their Expedition maps and stop them from getting their Tron. Veil of Summer, very much needed in most green decks, just for the control matchups. You bring this in. Also, if you're versing Thoughtseizers and you're not on the play, you're on the draw, it's really good. Sorry, you're on the play, not on the draw. Sorry, it's really good to have this in your hand. So if they do Thoughtseize you on turn 1, you've got a way to protect your stuff and also draw that card. 2 Assassin's Trophies, again for more removal, and it's quite flexible in what it can destroy, obviously any permanent, so bring that in if you're versing something that you need a removal for. Collector Ouphe against anything that is artifact based, mostly here for the Tron matchup as well. Collector Ouphe seems to shut those strategies down somewhat. Damping Sphere does exactly the same thing, also against Storm as well. Remorseful Cleric against your graveyard decks, being able to exile all cards from the target player's graveyard, so bringing these in for those matchups. Knight of Autumn and Corrosion Grip are coming in for your artifact enchantment removals. Also Knight of Autumn against your burn kind of matchups as well. You're hardly ever going to be using the 2+1+1 counters on Knight of Autumn. You're more using it for the 4 life or destroying an artifact or enchantment. So that is the deck itself. Obviously one of the top decks in the format. Definitely more on top onto the terms of the value of the deck. It is higher up there. So we got $638 here from MTG Goldfish. Look at tapped out in terms of our mana curve and all that kind of stuff, which I like to look at. Obviously, most of your spells are going to be under the 3 mana because you're wanting to get those creatures from your Coco. Obviously, we've got a couple creatures that you can't hit, which is Merce Redcap and Shalai, Voice of Plenty, but that's okay. You can Chord of Calling or Finale of Devastation into those. And then you go down and you look at, you've got 3 mythics, 34 rares, 15 uncommons, 4 commons in the main, and then 9 rares and 6 uncommons in the side. And that is our, I guess, deck there in terms of what we've got. I can't obviously tell you that it's not a bad deck. It's an actually really good deck that I use many times, won many competitions with this. Definitely one of the better decks in the format. It can I guess be countered by decks that play a lot of removal, so like Jund, it might be its probably worst matchup, I would say. Also Tron, I felt is one of the more worst matchups for this. If they're on a play and they get that turn 3 Tron and they can't, it's very hard to come back from that if you don't have your Giver of Runes out at that point in the game. It's very fast combo deck. I've comboed off on turn 3 many times. That's one of the fastest decks in the format for sure, but it can, I guess, be weak to decks that are very strong on removal. But then again, you know, you've got ways to protect it with the Giver of Runes and the Spellscar and the Selfless Spirit, and you just play around that. You just make sure you get those cards down first. Let them waste the removal on those creatures first before you put your combo out, and try and find a way to stay alive long enough to just combo off. That is the deck there. We'll be doing a gameplay of Counters Company in the next few weeks, so watch out for that video. We've also got some collecting masters coming out for Cowteam, so keep an eye out for that. As always guys, everything on the stack has resolved, and good games everyone.